didn't get to go as home as much as I wanted, but it got me back in Texas. So I
True.
was like, I'm about it. Um,
You got tight with some dude out there too.
who?
Good looking dude.
Oh shit!
Good looking dude out there.
Yeah, yes. Something
Yeah.
about
Who was that, bro?
I don't know. Some he thought he was good at basketball, football. Sometimes he says he can throw hands.
What is good, everybody? Welcome to what is now the 7th episode of Mental Check, getting this rolling. The person I have on today, one of my dearest friends. We went through training together, our roommates there, and one of the friendships that it happened too late in life, honestly. As soon as we clicked, and it's been like this ever since. So, without further ado, Pedro Barrientes. What they do?
Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm so excited for this. Um, so yeah, like I was saying before, me and Pedro, we went to college together and everything. But this man was a boxer actually, and so I mean, if you know me, you know I always say catch these hands. But when it comes to him, I usually don't. I don't say it because he tries to set it back, makes me feel uncomfortable and everything. So I let him have that. But yeah, after college, we didn't really roll with the same group, and so we just didn't really we knew of each other. But once we went to training, like I said, we hit it off, and we've been tight ever since. So that's how I know Pedro, and I want Pedro to talk to you guys about kind of himself. So Pedro, if you could go into your upbringing, kind of what made you who you are today, like starting from when you were a little poppy until until now. So
All right. I'll start with originally from Mercedes, Texas, little town just south of, or I guess all the way south in South Texas. So
yeah,
as far south as you can go, um, Hispanic household. Grew up with Spanish originally, and then this kind of shaped our family upbringing. And when I say family, like all my dad's brothers and sisters and how they're going to shape the future of our family. So we switched at a young age from primarily Spanish household to only the elders are going to speak Spanish and everyone's going to speak English, like all
really,
the kids. So that was a little change, which is debatable in the
yeah,
Hispanic communities. Like, um, one is because I'm a little background. I am one generation removed from working in the fields.
really,
So my dad, my uncles, his sisters, my grandpa, my grandma, all of them were called migrant workers.
mm-hmm.
So they would travel from Texas to Ohio, Illinois, all across the you know East Coast and uh, Texas, the south part of the United States as well. And they would travel and pick fields along all the little farms, stay in these um, communal housing along the way. And
Wow,
they would just pack up their entire house for a few months at a time, and then they go work the fields. So
wow,
it's a it's a big jump and transition. And I think that's when they realized that they're in order to get us out of that,
mm-hmm.
I guess, that shift in our family was that English was kind of the primary like basis of this nation. So like we need to get our kids and the kids after them perfect English, and then we'll take care of Spanish at home,
Mm.
kind of thing. So even in the educational system, there's a big push down south. Because when I say I'm from down south, I'm probably like uh, a rock away, like throwing a rock over the fence, kind of down south of Mexico.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's very heavy in the Spanish speaking culture there.
mm-hmm.
It's beautiful culture,
Yeah,
but a lot of it can get stuck in like this is where I'm gonna stay, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna be. And a lot of people growing up, they understand the importance of knowing, like progressing in your English to, make just a little bit more of, your family's path in life.
Yeah. So when you guys, because I mean, as you were saying, I feel like that's a pretty, I guess, big transition to go from primarily speaking Spanish and now being like, okay, we're gonna focus on English and then change it that way. So you're like, I guess the elders, like, how did they feel about that, or like, was there like turmoil or anything like that, or?
So it was a whole family buy-in,
Mm,
starting with my grandparents. So everybody was all in. Like kids are gonna like my cousins. When I say kids, it was like me and myself, my sister, and then all my cousins. They're gonna learn English first, or not first, but everyone's gonna transition to English.
yeah.
And then it was kind of funny but not funny. It was like whenever they had a secret, the elders and the kids like they didn't know Spanish
Yeah.
or like originally, and it was like everybody was speaking Spanish around the household to keep the secret from all the kids. So it was kind of using it against us, which was, yo, that's not cool, you know what I mean? Like we should all. So it was kind of that concept, and then the other reason I was able to kind of like learn Spanish, just pick it up, even though like everyone shifted, is because my family, not only did they like grow up working in the fields, but my grandfather, he had a construction business, an LLC that he was in charge of slash ran.
Mhm.
Specifically, it was a concrete business. So, little boy, that's what I was out running around with my dad and his brothers, and we're pouring foundations to houses, making sidewalks, driveways, and I started doing that. I think the earliest was around 8 years old.
Wow.
So, I don't know if you've ever seen anyone pour concrete or do a driveway or a foundation for a house. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can't
And
even begin to imagine. And I mean, it makes sense because you're super handy and everything too. So like, when you're 8, you
eight
started
years
that
old, I
job?
was out there picking up wheelbarrows of concrete,
Wow.
forming up the boards for whatever we're gonna pour. Um,
I was
you
sitting
name it,
playing
man.
GameCube, bro, and you're out here building a house, bro. Okay, that's
Yeah.
no, that's super dope though. So when you guys kind of did the transition though, um, so you talked about how like a lot of them were like migrant workers,
Hmm.
and like so from the transition till now, um, what was the impact, positively, negatively? How do you think it went? I guess is a better way to say it.
I think it went. I would say it went rather well, and give credit to my family, my parent, my
Hmm.
mom, and my dad, for sure. It took us out of public school around, I think it was sixth grade for me,
Hmm.
and same for my sister. Sent us to like this like it's funny because like the new up and coming charter school or whatever,
Yeah.
we're in trailers. There's a bunch of trailers waiting for this thing to be built, but it was the teachers that made the difference. So, and
Hmm.
like not the school, the establishment itself was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It was new up and coming, but the teachers they brought, they specifically went and grabbed them from all parts of the U.S.
Really?
and brought these teachers to South Texas, where
Yeah.
there's primarily a bunch of Hispanic kids, and they're I guess a new perspective that this school gave us kind of instilled a new idea in at least my head for sure. I was like, well, let me take a step back actually. So a public school kid come into this new school.
Right.
I was a new guy, obviously, and then all the kids around me, they had been in this like program since like I don't know, uh, third grade.
Okay.
So I got there. I was like in public school. I was pretty like on par, like slash maybe just a little ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Um, I get like academically, And then I got to this new school and I was
All these brainiacs.
ages behind these kids. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm a dummy here. And I was like, how did this happen? Like,
Yeah.
how did these kids know all this information? And they were grasping it so much quicker than I was. It's like, what have I been? Where have I been?
Yeah.
So it kind of instilled in me, one, a competitive edge at a young age, and then two, I became like a sponge.
Right.
I was like, all right. Well, first and foremost, like my sister was a year. She's a year ahead of me, so she went kicking and screaming to this school before I did, and then I also went kicking and screaming to this. I mean, because we're leaving all our friends.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
leaving the boys we grew up with around the corner. Like, uh, we didn't want to leave the public school system, but little did we know, like that was probably the best thing that could have happened to us personally.
That's always some of the wildest things. Is like the things that we go through during that time. It's like, bro, I do not want to do this. Da, 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 I'm sure you're like, I can't believe you do this to us. And then it's like, you sitting here now, like, all right, that was the best thing that happened. Like,
Yep, that little change, I think, paved the way for our future. I mean, once again, we're one generation away from the fields.
yeah,
I still worked concrete as a kid. I guess like, and that was also the point I'll hit on later. Um, we went from that to my sister's now a lawyer in San Antonio, doing very well,
heck yeah,
and I'm a pilot. Like,
yeah.
where was that in our cards? That was like from picking the fields to like pilot and lawyer. Like, we jumped
That's just
monument.
two generations of change, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
literally just two generations. That's it.
that,
And we jumped. Uh, so I can't even imagine what lays next for our future kids and all that.
yeah, man.
Hopefully it just continues. Um,
No, 100%. I'm sure the fam is super proud of y'all, man, and
oh yeah,
the whole your aunties and everything as well. That's super dope, man. But so kind of like continuing on. So you moved to this charter school. You
yep,
got all these brainiacs there. You kind of get your competitive edge, get your groove going. Um, Take off from there.
yeah. So get a new light pretty much set on me. I'm like, all right, I'm pretty behind the curve here. So I started absorbing everything. I dive in, like I'm reading everything. I'm investing in myself. Just one, at a young age, being because I was competitive, but two, like that kind of paved the way for my future self in that sense. But so yep, I was all in. Started excelling there, and then I eventually, before high school started, I moved to like what was the next best thing for me, which was like a medically oriented high school.
Hmm.
And I was already thinking like, because so during this whole time I was still working construction with my family
Yeah.
throughout. So I was like, man, and this is where I go back to the point. That was also a strategic design from my parents. So my mom was like, all right, academics, right? And my dad was like, yes, but he's gonna not forget where he comes from, kind of deal. So he made it a point to take me early as a young man to work construction. So I know how it feels
Yeah.
to work with your hands and your back in the
Hmm.
sun all day. So I remember that feeling when I think, oh, I don't want to be in school, or like I don't want to read. And like, yeah, but you do that in AC and indoors. Like, you're not busting your back, tearing your hands, ruining your body
Yeah.
when you're reading in that school, are you?
Yeah.
So he made it a point for me to learn what it really means to, one, work with your hands and your back, but two, that if you use your mind, you don't have you unless you want to. You don't have to be outside all day working in the sun,
That's
kind of
real.
thing. You have the option to do that if you want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
So that paved the way, and I learned. You learn rather quickly. Working in tech to see like, yep, this sucks.
It's not what I
So
want to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I invested in myself. Like, all right, where do we go from here? So I was like, all right, this medical high school looks cool. So I dove into that. I became a pharmacy technician and a EMT basic out of there, and I was like, all right, cool. It's like these jobs are a little easier than working with your bag, you
Yeah.
know. It's just learning stuff and applying it, you
Right.
know. It's inside, indoors, you know. Um, so it kind of progressed, you know, throughout my upbringing. I'm like, all right, cool. See, just a way to get away from,
Yeah.
you know, the hard
For
upbringing.
real.
Just
Yeah.
trying to like find ways and avenues to do that. And uh, but for me, like all that, all the stuff I went through, like I consider myself, and I like to think of it like as a multi-tool. Like every little thing that I've ran into in life has just added another tool to my tool belt, kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I have something from little bits of knowledge here, a little bit
Right.
here, and it's all just more tools for me to use later. And somehow, like those nuggets of information when I was like fully invested all in, like it comes to light there. Like, man, I'm so glad I had that knowledge
Yeah,
back in the day.
exactly.
Like, I'm
Man, I
so
was
glad
able
I
to
had
do
that
that.
experience. Like, that sucked, but this is good, useful now.
Yeah,
So,
like especially construction now that we're like, getting old, I guess. I don't know, like with houses and everything. I mean, you got your own crib too, so I
yeah.
can't even imagine how helpful that was. Like being
Mm.
able to look at something and being able, oh yeah, like I can just fix this. Because me, no idea. I'm on YouTube for 20 minutes trying to figure it out. So
Hey, YouTube's a big source too.
nah, dude, well, that's well, cool. All right, so going through that now, we are what? High school EMT. Go from there.
We had, I forget what they call it, a college day or when all the colleges come to your schools and stuff.
Oh yeah, I
One of
know what
those
you're talking
days.
about. Yeah.
And the Air Force Academy was there.
Mhm.
And it's funny, it was a minority recruiter. You know, I didn't know it at the time, but that's exactly what it was. So I go up to this little thing, their little stand, and Lieutenant Puentes, I believe at the time, she gave me, or started asking me questions, started telling me all about it. Like I had no idea about it. But yeah, this minority recruiter comes out, tells me all about it. I was like, cool. Very grateful for her. She kind of gave me that, or she pushed me because I was even having doubts like along the way. I'm like, what am I getting into? Like, because
Yeah.
even at the end of all this, I still had no idea what. I never seen the school.
Right.
Didn't know where it was.
I had no idea either. All I knew was
Yeah.
military. I literally asked my recruiters, "What are the chances I'm going to die?" And they started busting out laughing. I was like, that was all I asked. But sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fair because all I heard out of all this was free. Like it didn't matter what it was for me.
Yeah.
It was like it's free,
Yeah.
and they gave me a little monthly stipend, a little
Yeah,
payment.
true.
Done, easy, and like what march around, cool. Like wear uniform, cool. You know, like
Right.
that means I don't gotta look for clothes. They're gonna get provided.
Right.
Cool, I'm done. Like super easy.
Yeah.
So pursued that, got accepted, and then there is where we kind of like dive into USAFA and mutual friends between us, and I joined the realm of, I guess, the boxing team freshman year. Didn't really have to take the class because I didn't mention previously, but my family also we owned a boxing gym growing up, so I found out they had a boxing team. I was like, "Yo, easy enough."
Yeah.
You know, this is like just like going back home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I found my group of people in there, and then just got through the academic grind, which was a grind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Sorry, not to cut you off.
No,
I
yeah.
just want you to talk a little bit more about boxing because boxing is one of those sports where it's literally it's one on one, like it's just you out there alone, unafraid, all of that. Can you talk about, I guess, the mental headspace you have to be in before you step into the boxing ring and when you're in the boxing ring?
So there's different ways to go about it, but I think every kind of sport evolves around the idea of visualization first. So you got to be able to see yourself. That's how it always started, even when in practice for us. You got to be able to visualize what you're doing. Like even if you close your eyes, you can kind of see and feel the movement.
Mm.
So it started off with like, almost kind of like a goal setting every time. Like when you develop an idea or a goal,
Yeah.
you got to visualize how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And then that was like literally every practice, for at least me, was you're visualizing how you're going to defeat an opponent and what you're going to do. Which kind of, that was like every physical rep was a mental rep.
Yeah.
Because you're building your mind and how like quick or what can I do. It's like playing chess. Like if I look down here, his eye's going to shift down and I'm going to hit in the head while he's looking down, kind of thing. So just like a little eye movement, a little, I'm gonna throw his hand out here, his eyes will go here, I'm just gonna hit him down there, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
look, it was just like playing chess, and it was,
That is interesting.
that's just one way to think about it. It's really trying to read a person and have them read you, and then also misdirecting them, in a way to, ultimately take advantage.
Right.
But there's different ways to go about it. I loved it. I had fun with it. I liked the challenge of, hitting somebody without getting hit or giving one back harder. Like it was a great, I guess, mental and physical challenge for me, as an individual, because you went in there alone. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, if you didn't win or something happened, it was on you. Because you have a team, you work with a team, different weight classes, and you support each other. You try to make each other sharper. But when it comes down to it in that ring, just you, your opponent, and a referee. That third guy that's just there to just keep it safe. But it's just you and him, and that's it. So it was a great mental and physical challenge, and it's just, for me, it's funny. All my videos of boxing, whenever I got hit, I always smiled at my opponent, and I don't know if that was just like, oh, and it's begun, it started, kind of thing. So that was like a great time in my life to develop me personally, and then get me in that rhythm of breaking up the academics life into the academy.
They said, I don't know if it was a boxer who said it, but it's one of my, like, I love the quote so much. It's like, I think it was a boxer who says, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson. Yeah. I think about it because when I took boxing, literally I got hit, like it made me angry, but like, which is clearly not what you're supposed to do, right? So like, how are you able to, I guess, compartmentalize all that?
So it's a way to do it. You can get angry, and it could fuel you with enough fire, that you just go destroy your opponent right away. Like that's a way you can honestly do it. But for me, it was more of a, like, it was like kicking down a wall every time. Like I didn't get hurt often, but when I did, that's where it was kind of like that resiliency came about. I was like, it's like, damn, like he got me pretty good. Like, what am I gonna do about this? Like, you're trying to think 2, 3 steps ahead. Like, how that happened? It's like a quick, like, internal, like, what did I mess up? And, like at the same time, you get an account from the ref. Right. You're like, all right, you gotta get up. Yeah. So I shake that off and let's try it again. Luckily, it didn't happen too often to me. I think I only got knocked down once, and it was in a national championship tournament by an old buddy, Raj. Strong guy, very strong guy. He got me with a body shot, but but it's just like really quick and turn them on. Like, what are we gonna do about it? And we can't. I mean, I guess you could just curl up and stay on the ground, but that wasn't the point. Like, I was like, I'm not down. I'm not down for the count. I am gonna figure out a way to overcome this obstacle, hurdle, whatever was coming at me.
Yeah, bro, and that's type of stuff that, like, that's why I love sports so much, for real, bro, because like that's the type of stuff that you just do not get just normally. Like, sports teach you so much about life. Like, you were just talking about being in a boxing ring, but that's life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get knocked down, like, you got a chance to get back up and go back in, you know what I mean? Or you can just lay down there and stay there, right?
Yep.
And jumping over hurdles and all that, like, that's like, I always think that boxers are some of the most, like, mentally resilient people, because you are used to having to rely on yourself, first of all, but then also because, like, you are literally used to being punched in the face or punched anywhere, and like just having to be like, damn, that hurt, but I'm gonna keep going. All right, well, cool. Now we know kind of who you are, kind of what your foundation is. Now, kind of transitioning, well, life has its ups and downs, so I kind of want you to go into your lowest point ever. If that's now, kind of what are you doing to cope with it? If it was sometime back then, how'd you overcome it?
Sweet. This I would say was a great learning point in my life, to be honest. Because as we've seen, I've spoken about, like everything has happened, not like how it should, but it happened the way it was supposed to. And every little moment I learned along the way. And a big part that I, forgot to mention was like, we've always talked about in my family, just, kind of doing the right thing, being the best person you can be, you know, uh, treat others the way you want to be treated, the goods and bads of life, etc. But up to this point, just got to, went to the academy or prep school into the academy now. And now it's like a lot of weight. It's a different kind of weight because once again, you run into those brainiacs that are like,
Yeah,
man, these dudes are just another level.
yeah,
Like, I thought I was, smart, and then you just got dudes that just, man, like,
this isn't easy. Yeah,
yeah, like their upbringing, their knowledge, their mind is just so much. They just grasp the concepts way faster. And then I think one of the heavier weights for me at the academy was just trying to be perfect at everything. Like I'm just trying to stay afloat with these guys that are top notch. Like
yeah.
now you got like top notch athletes, top notch academic people, and it's like, what the heck? I'm falling back again. Like, like I come out of my school and I'm like, I'm that's one of the solid dudes like out of high school, like
Yeah,
academically, physically, athletics, like solid dude.
yeah.
And I get to the academy now. I'm like, average to
Yeah,
mediocre. It's like,
all these
man,
cream of the crop
yeah,
people.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
the crop just came through. What am I? So that pressure of uh, being perfect, it was definitely there, and with that, it came with, I guess, the aspects of what would like how far is too far to be perfect. So like, how much will you do, or what will you sacrifice in order to be good at something? So that comes in with the, was it 2013, 2014 cheating scandal at the academy for science? I think it was
Chemistry.
chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, chemistry. Well, so we're all
Shout out Jesse Washington.
gee, boy. So there was a lot of different aspects of that cheating scandal. My piece was not really involved with the big portion of it. Like I wasn't really involved with that at all. It was when you're on a sports team, you travel together. Your teachers go with you. Everyone goes with you, and you do homework together.
Yeah.
Specifically, this is that lab report that was infamous.
Materials reported. Yeah.
They got everybody on, a lot of people on this. It's like, hey, go do this lab report. There's no basis on how or what it should look like. Go do it.
Yeah.
So as one should, you ask for help, and of course, they say don't ask your fellow chemistry peers for help.
Yeah.
And it's like, who am I supposed to ask? And like, oh, you ask teachers. And like, we're gone. We're on trips. I'm not even in, like, we're not even in class. Like, I got this lesson over email. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, how am I supposed to go to your office and ask for help? You know what I mean? So a lot of pressure was being placed on like this first lab report, I think, of the semester or whatever. So as a boxing team, we helped each other out. Like we're doing this next to each other on the plane. Back in the back of a KC-135, everyone's trying to knock this thing out. And originally, like I put that in documentation, like, hey, I got help from here. This is what we did. This is et cetera, like you're supposed to. And then once we got back, I think it was like we got back that Sunday night, and it was due like Sunday night at midnight or whatever. And I forget who my roommate was at the time. He's like, "What's up, man? Welcome back. Have you turned in your thing yet?" I was like, "Yeah. I'm just finishing up this documentation statement real quick, and I'm about to submit it on turnitin.com or whatever." Man, That damn thing.
we got a lot of people got.
Yep. I can't remember who the person was. I had them read through it real quick, and he's like, "Hey man, you're supposed to get help on this." I was like, "What you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you couldn't get help from anybody, like from the like students. You couldn't get help. Like you only can ask like the teacher and go to EI or whatever." And I was like, "Oh crap!
Yeah.
Like what do I do?" Like it was that in that moment, like what do I do? Bless you.
Thanks.
So like I had that panic, like,
First
uh-oh.
beat the pass. What do I do? This junk is like 30% of your grade too. So,
Yeah, and it was like, oh crap, do I just not turn something in? Like,
Mhm.
do I just wait? Do I just go tomorrow? So I did what I thought was the easiest. I just deleted the statement, put no help received or whatever, submit it. I was like, well, I guess we'll see what happens. And the dumbest part was that all I needed to go do was just tell them like, hey, I didn't read that. I think it was like part of the rules or whatever, like the first instruction. I didn't read that junk. Like
Right.
about like can't receive. I think it was one line: can't receive help from anyone else but a teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, we all helped each other.
Right.
We all helped each other. It's just
breaking news.
yeah, like it's just I took mine out and sure enough, once like I think they evolved like over a week, like turn in start bing bing bing, like everyone's getting plucked out. Well, mine wasn't. I don't really know what happened with the big one, but like mine was just like, did you receive help? Like, and I was like I wasn't gonna lie, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like so my process was pretty like straightforward. So I started my was it honor process? Yeah, whatever, probation, honor probation.
Yeah.
I started that really early, like compared to everybody else. That was like going through the big scandal. Yeah, mine was just a different piece. Um, but during that time, I kind of learned more about myself because during that time, I was kind of like, yo, I'm staying away from everybody. Like, I'm gonna focus on me, my, I guess, growth,
Mhm.
and also like I'm not trying to like get kicked out of this place, because once again I went to this place because it's free,
Right.
So it kind of really shed light on that for me, on like how like being perfect doesn't mean you shouldn't sacrifice like your moral code, right and wrong. Like you don't have to do that to be perfect. You don't even have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Just do the right thing. Kind of uh, be the person that your dog thinks you are. Kind of thing. So during this honor probation period, they give you like a bunch of books and stuff, journaling.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I wasn't not a big journal, like a journal type person. But I started doing it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I started reading books and kind of harped on like, um, it wasn't even like books that really like try to like demean you in any way, like yeah, you're a bad person or whatever. It was just more about growth of being like true to who you are and true to the right versus wrong aspect in life. And just in that one little moment, that seconds away from midnight, I had I took a few steps back and you kind of reflect on the reasons why, and it's like because I was trying to like I don't know, stay up with everybody, but maybe you don't have to. You are who you are, and you are who you're gonna be, regardless of like which route you take. It's it was just a learning and growth time for myself, and I did a lot of reflecting, and took a lot of time just to kind of like how get away from social media, got away from everything.
Yeah, man.
I really dove in, and the honor probation system and the kid. I mean, it wasn't that great, to be honest. There's a lot of things that probably not necessary, but I do say that it did give me the time to focus and hone in on like who am I as Pedro. Like, I did all this stuff to get here. let's fine tune this so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And like really reflect on why did I do that? And I did that so I can get like a B in the class.
Yeah.
It's like, was that worth it? Was it worth my integrity? You know,
Yeah.
was it worth the shame on my name?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sure, it was school. But for me personally, like my name, my last name, that means a lot to me. You know, when you hear my name, I want people to like hear good stuff, like
Mhm.
great person,
Right.
solid dude. You know, works hard and will get the job done.
Yeah.
Not, you know, oh man, he had a compromising moment, blah blah blah. You know, like so that I think is what hurt the most was that like man, my pride was hurt a little definitely, and then you know, because you walk around, I think your shoulder boards change or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you can't go to things. I forget what the rules are, but that piece hurt me, and I was like, how do we not get there again? You know, kind of thing. So, uh,
I no, so I really liked what you said about how like you kind of stopped thinking about other people and like you're like I just gotta kind of be the best me, be the best Pedro. Because like that, or I think about track with stuff like that. You know, like in a when you're running track, and there's 8 different lanes, and it's like you really have to just run your own race. Sometimes it's like as soon as we start comparing ourselves to others, like what happens in track if you step in someone else's lane, you're disqualified,
yeah,
right?
mm-hmm.
Same thing in life, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
as soon as we start comparing ourselves to others, like you're disqualified. Why? Because that's not your lane. That's not even the place you're supposed to be. Like that's not even the route you're supposed to take. So it's like all this stuff that you enjoy is taken away, and it's just you, right?
mm-hmm. Yep,
And it's just you.
very judgment.
So which is I feel like is such an important time for like a lot of people to go through. 'Cause it's like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
like it is really it is really just me out here right now, and like not only um, what's it called? Like, do I like what I'm doing? But do I like my like? Am I good with myself? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, am I good with who I am? Because that's kind of what you had to rely on. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to
No,
say that because I love what you said.
um, and I think that moment, getting that early on, and you know, even though it was a terrible time, them holding me accountable, you know, to doing something bad, doing something wrong, or not in line with you know the academic code.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that's what someone like. I think that's what people need in their life. Someone holding them accountable for you know their consequences, bad actions they take in life. But mine was, you know, in the grand scheme of things, minor. Like the consequences weren't terrible. It just some of my life was you know hindered. You know,
Yeah.
not no more fun.
Right.
But it also gave me like, hey, yeah, there's consequences to your actions, and then it can only go up from here. Like this is just a minor one. If you do something worse later in life, like it's gonna be
Right.
a bigger consequence.
Now, passing to the lowest point. Now this is kind of your time, your voice. What would you say to kind of any male or man or person who's kind of struggling with anxiety, depression, like panic attacks, stuff like that? What type of encouragement would you give them?
I would first start by saying that it's okay. It's okay to be in that state. Um, it's sometimes life, you know, that's what it hands us, and sometimes it can be overwhelming to have the weight of the world on your shoulders, or so it may seem. That it's just on your shoulders. Um, so first and foremost, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, and then accepting that fact is the huge first step. Um, because you have to be able to understand that at that point in your life you're not okay, and once you've accepted it, now is the well, you know, maybe one of the more hard times of your life, where now it's time to ask for help, and it's okay to ask for help.
Hmm.
um, Whether that be you know people, uh, either your family, a friend, co-worker, whatever you're just comfortable with. The whole idea is that it's okay to ask for help and to actually ask for it in the end. You got to have, you know, that battle buddy, that friend, that spiritual partner, that whatever you want it to be, that you can come back to, that you can rely on, whether it be a church group, etc. Um, and if you do feel like you don't have a person like that, you know, Brian Driscoll's here. I'm here. I might not know you, but reach out and then we can talk. We can have that conversation. Uh, I can give you what I know and help you through that, whatever hardship or struggle it is, because we're all human beings and we're all trying to figure out uh, our role in life, our stepping stone through life. Like, trying to figure out, what's next, what's for dinner. You're like,
Exactly.
we all don't have it figured out, and it's okay. It's okay. That's what life's about. That's what makes life worth living. Um, because if it was all planned out and figured out for us, then what's the point of living? Like, where's the
wonder?
Yeah, where's the wonder of the world? Like, so one, it's okay not to be okay, and two, it's it's okay to ask for help and then find that help, seek that out, whatever that looks like for you.
All right, well, thanks for that. Thanks for that wisdom. I mean, those were special words, and I mean, it's definitely going to touch people. Um, Now shifting from everybody else to you and doing kind of your own mental check right now. We'll start out with mentally. How are you doing right now mentally, 1 through 10? And then tell us why you gave that answer.
I would say, let's see, mentally 1 through 10. I would say I have a pretty solid foundation mentally. Don't let things rattle me too much, but I do get rattled and I still have stuff weighing on me every now and again. So I'll say about 8.5 out of 10. Yeah. Mainly because I'm kind of like, once it happens, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like my slogan throughout life and work. Like, hey, it is what it is. Like, we can't change it.
Right.
We can just grow better from it. So let's take this lesson, let's move on, and apply it so it doesn't happen again. So not much weighs on my mind because there's not. For me, I personally don't see like a point of it, to uh, affect me to the point where I can't like function on the day to day or sleep or get adequate sleep.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, one last reflection. That's out. That's settled in for the night. Let's go to sleep, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll reattack in the morning. So 8.5 is, I think it's about as well as I can do.
Mentally at an 8.5. How are you doing emotionally?
Emotionally, I would say probably like a 6.8. I would say I'm pretty good at feeling the room, reading the room, and grabbing other people's emotions or like what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was like reflection on that piece, I'll say I'm better at that for sure. But I could find sometimes, it could be hard for myself to get something across.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure like the message is fully received by whoever I'm trying to express it to, in the best way possible. I struggle with that sometimes, and like that could just be just me trying to gather my thoughts strategically, so that a little time delay. But yeah, 6.8. Still working on it. Still trying to be a better man emotionally, and it also comes and opens up that uncomfortable vulnerability piece that most men
do a terrible job at
expressing their vulnerabilities, because I mean it's like, oh, who am I gonna be vulnerable with? Who's this guy? Like, who's this person? It's like, can I open up like that? Are they gonna weigh it against me later? So that's a hard piece to to open up into, and I'm trying to be better at it because grand scheme of things, we're just humans. Like, I'm trying to bring it back to that because we're just people.
Yeah.
And everyone's struggling with something. Everyone needs help. Everyone's just trying to like live their life. And the best way I figured out that I've been emotionally happy is just when I can be truly honest and open with somebody and not one either care like what they think of me,
Right.
and then that not caring or like being okay with whatever they think about me,
Yeah.
it just brings a sense of ease
Hmm.
towards the rest of my time with
Yeah.
that person or in that moment. So
And with those honest conversations, like more times than not, like especially with men, like we all feel the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
You
we're
know
all
what I
struggling
mean?
the
We
same thing.
all have the same thoughts and all of that,
Yep.
of the pressure, whatever you want to call it, and we just
Uh,
don't talk about that. So yeah, 6.8.
6.8, still working.
All right, so that puts us at a mentally 8.5, emotionally 6.8. Now moving on, how you doing spiritually?
It's a whole nother episode on that. Uh, I would say it's probably gonna be my lowest one, mainly because I'm struggling with that one the most.
Mm.
Uh, had a bad deployment this past go, so I'll say I lost touch. I hit a rock bottom there for a minute, and I'm trying to bring that back. So I'll say spiritually probably like a 5.0 because I'm
Okay.
like half and half,
Yeah.
trying to get back on the right track.
Hmm.
But I am working on it. I'm going, so I'm gonna go back to church, and it's funny because I always say, I noticed this the other day. And it's funny because I always say it, but I actually reflected on this time. Whenever I say goodbye or goodbye to somebody, it's like, all right, we'll see you later. I always say we, and I was like, why do I say we? I'm always talking plural.
Yeah.
Uh, it's because as a kid, I grew up in a very spiritual household.
Hmm.
And you go to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, church on Friday. The group church, etc. Um, so I always had like the idea that you know the Lord was always with me,
Mm.
kind of thing. So He was always like right behind me, or that's how I always envisioned it. Or even for me, like grew up in a Catholic household, so my angel, was Saint Michael, and I always felt like his wings were over me.
Mm.
Like he was always had my back. So I was like, that's why I always say we, and even when at my lowest point, it never went away.
Yeah.
It's just I had a little, deviation from it, and I was trying to, a life check, like where am I at headspace wise, and coming back to it and growing back with it. Starting to go to church some more. Um, and I realize I still feel at home, in the church. So uh, slowly getting better. But it is my weakest point, and but I wouldn't say that I've completely lost it. It's just I'm pretty much breaking down the barriers and going back to ground zero and building myself back up again so I can reinstill that foundation. Because for me personally, like that has always been a big piece of my life,
Yeah.
and this one, time in my life, it kind of, opened my eyes, to different things, and uh, kind of gave me one of those, pause moments in life,
Yeah.
and it's been reflecting on it, and I think it's helping me, really build back up my spiritual, I guess, how much of it I want it to be a part of my life, and you know, my future family, etc. So, uh, yeah, 5.0 and on the rise. I think it's a little higher than that, but I'm gonna go to 5.0,
Yeah.
and just so I can continue to like build and say I'm not okay with being at 5.
Yeah.
I need to bring it back, and I'm working on it.
Yeah. No,
Slowly working
absolutely.
on it.
And that's all about just the seasons that we go through in general.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just feel the closest ever, and then other times we do feel like far, far away. So like, I just think it's important just to kind of know that, just as you're saying, and so like it just gives you a direction to go. So we have mentally 8.5, emotionally 6.8, spiritually 5.0.
Mhm.
What are you doing, or how are you doing physically?
Physically, I would say probably like a 7.5.
Hmm.
I feel um, pretty fit. I could always be better, and I think little change in my work environment. Like, you used to be like, oh, deployment, I'm gonna get in shape, et cetera. Like, this is my time, be me. But it really changed when we started deploying. It was like, you need to be ready to go out the door and then get better. So you need to be ready physically.
Yeah.
You're not in the places that that we go. It's important, to be physically ready. And so I kind of like keep that throughout my time in the States. It's like, hey, let's put in the work so that we're stronger each and every day. And then when you get a good workout in, and just everything else after that, your day just goes better.
Yeah, it feels better.
You feel better, feel more solid to you, and then you can attack the rest of the stuff that comes your way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always trying to be like, in the stay ready kind of state. It's hard sometimes, like being in the States in America, man. Everything's so nice and cozy and comfy. Like, it's hard. It's super easy to become soft. But I think it's important, and definitely, trying to get better. Just staying physically sharp. And I kind of want to live, for a long time. So I think my health, it deserves some attention, just like everything else that, tries to take it from me every day. So trying to be around for as long as I can. And
Thanks.
I think everybody, should be one, or it is one of the more important things for me as well.
Heck yeah. So what was your number again?
What was it, 7.5?
7.5. All right. Cool, man. Well, so that is that's your mental check. I hope that even after this, you kind of continue, just kind of like check back in. Now that I know, I'm gonna check in too, like keep you accountable to everything you just said.
Yeah.
So, like, and that's what it's all about, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Having these talks.
Yeah, having these talks. Like, we want people to know where we are, so like they can come back and ask us later, hey, you said this, like, did you do it or did you not? And then on just the introspective piece, just being able to sit down and be like, damn, like, how am I doing right here, right now, or in this area? And it's like, okay, maybe I neglected or not neglected that. But yeah, I hope you continue to do that. Like I said, I'll be keeping you accountable and all that, so I'll be on your head now. And if anyone's listening, I hope you guys are doing that stuff too, just to kind of check in on yourselves and making sure that that you're doing that reflection time as well to see where you're at. And lastly, man, this portion is what I call the flowers portion. The dog is, like I said, like, our friendship started too late. Like, that's the only regret I have about our friendship, is it started too late, because I mean, literally just from the jump, like, we just clicked, bro. We've been boys ever since.
Yes, sir.
So I just have so much appreciation of you as a friend, as a man, like, and just how resilient you are. I mean, and you, like, a fateful night and lawful during training, like, you're the guy that was there for me.
Yeah, man.
And so, yeah, I'm forever, ever will be one of my boys and all that. But
yes, sir.
So
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being on here today. This now concludes the 7th episode of Mental Check. Appreciate you guys listening. Pedro, thanks for coming on, boy.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
As always.
Love. All right. Peace. See ya.